Time goes so quickly. I can't believe that May the 10th, the day of recording this video, marks 5 years since West Ham United said goodbye to the Boleyn Ground. West Ham's lovely home of 112 years. And West Ham did it in such an amazing and memorable fashion and gave that stadium the perfect send-off. West Ham beat Manchester United 3-2, with Winston Reid scoring the last ever goal at the Boleyn Ground. It was a day of emotion, it was a day of passion, and it was a day where fans would come together and experience things that they would never experience again. It's those little things, the tube journey, the walk from the station to the stadium, pie and mash before the game, Ken's Cafe, the Boleyn pub. It's little things like that that I'm sure a lot of West Ham fans miss. And it's been a lot of, it's been a long 5 years, I should say, since West Ham left their home. Because the Boleyn Ground was a proper stadium. That's the bottom line. It was a proper football stadium. And it was the epitome of West Ham United. I can remember rushing home from my lecture at uni to get back home to watch the farewell bowling game. I missed Sacco's goal, but I was there in time to watch Antonio and Reid. So I was there to watch the majority of the game. I even ended up getting an Uber home to watch that game. I wasn't gonna not watch that. It was very important to me. And it was important to a lot of fans. I was fortunate enough to go to the Boleyn Ground in my lifetime. And because of the purpose of this 5th year anniversary, I thought that I'd make a video to share my stories of my trip to the Boleyn Ground, my one visit to that stadium. And it was one of the best days of my life and one of the best memories of my childhood. I have to say, I remember every little detail. Usually with these videos, I write things down on a notepad and recite them as I'm speaking in a video. I have nothing down here at all. I have no notepad. And the reason being is because I don't need one. I can just recall everything from memory, and it sounds a lot more natural when I do it like that anyway. I'm going to tell you, the viewer, about my trip to the Boleyn Ground and what I remember. Because as far as I was concerned, you weren't a proper West Ham fan until you stepped foot in the Boleyn Ground. Until you experienced what it feels like to be a real West Ham fan and to be in that stadium. Only then could you be officially considered a West Ham fan. Yeah, you wear the jersey, but going to the Boleyn Ground was something else. It was February half term, and that was fast approaching. Early in the month of February, I went to my dad's house one night after school. He said, "James, come and look at this." On the fridge, pinned to it, were 3 tickets to watch West Ham United. It was West Ham United versus Hull City at the Boleyn Ground on February the 20th, 2010. 12-year-old me was very excited because it meant that I'd be watching West Ham for the first time and also going to my first ever Premier League game. I'd already had a season ticket at Doncaster Rovers, my local team, so I'd already been to football games, but I'd never seen Premier League action before. I'd also been to London before, to the Emirates, to watch the Emirates Cup because my brother's an Arsenal fan, but I hadn't been to see West Ham, i.e. my team. My brother had been to see his team live, so it was time to see my team live. It would be the 3 of us going down, my dad, my brother and me. Really excited and looking forward to it. On the last day of the term, I went to my mum's house, packed up my bag, went over to my dad's, and he, my brother and I set off to London from Doncaster, about a 2-hour drive. We got down into Canary Wharf where we were staying, and from what I remember, it was very nice. Very nice area. I know a lot of current West Ham players live there right now, but we stayed in an apartment. It was close to an Indian restaurant and a bar. Went to the bar and there were actually a couple of Hull fans in there having some drinks, so they must have been staying overnight. I remember going and walking around Canary Wharf a little bit, some of the shops and some of the restaurants in the area. I remember there was a movie theatre, a bowling alley, and a TGI Fridays in the area, if I'm correct. Anyone from Canary Wharf can probably verify that. But that's from what I remember. And this video is going to be filled with a lot of very random and sometimes explicitly detailed recollections of that trip. That was the Friday night. We woke up very early on Saturday morning for a full day of sightseeing and then the game at 3 o'clock. We went into London to have a look at Parliament, have a look at the usual tourist attractions. We went to Covent Garden for a little bit. We went to Tate Modern, had a little look and walked around the outskirts of that, and the South Bank, walked along that area. Then we got on the Underground to go to the bowling. The train was packed full of claret and blue. So that was what got me buzzing at first, seeing all those fans in claret and blue. And getting ready to go. Got off at Upton Park Station, and pretty simple from there onwards, just follow the rest of the fans. You got out of the stadium, towards the stadium, walking from the tube station, I should say, to the stadium, walking down Green Street. I remember there were lines of internet cafes, newsagents, crammed narrow street, but with floods of claret and blue fans walking towards Upton Park. Opposite Upton Park there was a newsagents and there was a Middle Eastern market. One of the guys there behind the stall said, "West Ham man," and approved of my jersey. I just bought a jersey from the 2009-10 season. I can't find it anymore. I think it's at my mum's house back in England. But it was my first ever West Ham shirt. Has my surname on the back and the number 6 for Bobby Moore. My dad told me to get number 6 deliberately because it was Bobby Moore's number. I'll show a picture on the screen right now. I look at this and I look at my hair, man. Look at the mullet. Absolute waddler going on there. But that's a picture that I cherish forever. And there's a picture of me outside a stadium that is no longer there, even though that does kill me inside to say it a bit. We bought a programme for the game and tried to find where we would be going to sit. I had a photo next to the owner's car. David Gold and David Sullivan just taken over. I had a photo next to David Gold's car. Went in through the turnstiles and climbed up the steps of the Bobby Moore stand to the seat. I sat in seat and just immediately soaked it all in. Stadium looked fantastic. Grass was green. We were high up, so we got a bird's eye view of the game. And as the stadium began to fill up even more, you heard the roar and the atmosphere and the passion coming out of the fans. And that's what made Upton Park special. It was that atmosphere. It was to the togetherness of the fans. How everybody had travelled so far to see West Ham play, yet everybody made that place such an intimidating place for opponents to come. And in this case, it was Hull City for this game. Teams were read out. I remember players there like Rob Green, James Tompkins, Mark Noble, of course, was in there, Junior Stanislas, Valon Barami, I think Freddie Sears was on there somewhere, Carlton Cole was on there. Those are the ones I can really only remember. Hull City were managed by Phil Brown. West Ham were managed by Jean-Francois Zoller at the time. Hull had Boaz Myhill, Michael Dawson, Giovanni, Camille Gilas, Tom Kearney in the team. As soon as Bubbles started playing out and heard all the fans singing, I smiled. I can't describe it. I was like sucked in with it all, if you know what I'm saying. I was like sucked in as the players came out onto the field and bubbles started rising. Fans cheering, "Yeah, I'm forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air." I joined in with the singing because I wanted to be one of those West Ham fans. I wanted to finally cement myself as a true West Ham fan. And I was loving it. I felt emotional. Really, for a 12-year-old, I felt emotion just bubbling inside of me. The game started. Valon Barami scored very early on from close range finish. The place erupted. I got out of my seat and started cheering. They announced over the town Barami had scored. I was just jumping up and down. Yeah, seeing the goal, and it was just amazing. I find it hard to describe, really, but it was amazing. That first half, one thing I do remember, there was a fat-looking Hull fan, and some fans were chanting, "There's only one Vicky Pollard. Vicky gives a wave at her," and it was the atmosphere that just did it for me. As I think about it now, it was the atmosphere and just embracing the noise coming from that stadium. You could hear it all the way to Playstone Canning Town, all the eruption of the fans. You knew West Ham were in town, and we were out singing Hull all game long. We were out singing those Hull fans. Second half, I remember quite clearly. Junior Stanislas and Carlton Cole scored. Place was cheering all over again as well. I was absolutely loving it. I was smiling the whole time I was in that stadium because I loved it. That place was special. It given me a memory for a lifetime, and something that I can now tell my children and grandchildren. It's something that I want to document. I mean, I've done it already on Russ Budden's My Hammers 11. You can check out his episode where I talk about my one visit to Boleyn Ground. And I just said to him that I loved that stadium on the day. I felt a proper connection with the fans. Even though I wasn't a Cockney, I felt a proper connection with those fans. It finished West Ham 3, Hull 0. Barami, Stanislas and Cole with the goals. And when you think about those names, it just shows how long ago that was. That's 11 years ago, but how times have changed in that part of London, and with this team, of course. Leaving the ground, that was an interesting thing, because I got a little bit of a taste for what East London's really like, how working class and traditional it really is. The underground station was closed off, so my dad, my brother and I had to walk to Plaistow to get the tube. As I was walking through Plaistow, I just remember seeing semi-detached houses. They were like a grey colour, and it felt a bit misty and a bit damp walking through the area. I saw some place called Second Hand Shop, which was like a corrugated iron building with a guy standing outside with a cardboard sign saying Second Hand Shop on the walk home from the stadium. There was loads of West Ham fans, and we were all singing and chanting. I joined in, 12-year-old me. One older West Ham fan smiled at me. And I was like, yeah, this club's for everyone. No matter what age you are, this club's for everyone. And it taught me a lot of things, really seeing the club. It taught me how to be a West Ham fan. It taught me the meaning behind the club. And it taught me how to bond with the fans. I do that right now with this YouTube channel and social media and with Facebook groups that I'm on. But being in the presence of fans physically gives you... it gives you ability to talk about things firsthand, and it allows you to ask questions and just be reassured. That's how I felt. I felt, honestly, on that day, that I made the right choice by supporting West Ham because of that stadium, because of those players. It wasn't a massive club. West Ham's never been like a big flashy club, but we go through things together as fans, and we accept everybody. That's why I fell in love with West Ham, just as a little kid from watching Carlos Tevez to then going to Upton Park 3 years later. It was a progression to supporting West Ham. And I'm firing things off my tongue right now because there's so much I want to say just naturally coming out of my head rapid fire. Anyway, back to the train journey. We got on at the train in Plaistow. I remember Fireflies by Our City was in the charts at the time. It was playing over a speaker, and that's the song that I always associate with this trip to London. We went to Oaxaca, a Mexican restaurant, to eat after the game. Then we went back to the apartment. Was still buzzing. I was still buzzing from the whole day. And even to this day, it still makes me really happy that I went to that stadium. Yeah, just really buzzing from that day. West Ham win. I get to see London. Great boys trip, in my opinion. Sunday we drove back up to Doncaster. Told all my friends about it. Told my mum about it. I'm really, really glad that I went to the Boleyn Ground in my lifetime. And I was hoping to go back to the UK at some point and go to a game. I wanted to do that for many years to come, but unfortunately, it's no longer there. It's hard to sum up what the Boleyn Ground really means to me, what it really meant to me going on that trip, because it was so special. That football club is special. That club at the time, it was perfect going to a game. You look at it now, it's sad to see the bowling pub is shut, Ken's Cafe's closed down, local businesses in the area are nowhere to be seen. Businesses that thrived off of West Ham. Pie and mash before the game at Ken's Cafe. I didn't go in it myself, but I know that was a tradition. I don't really like mash, for the record, don't hate me. I don't really like pie. I don't eat it myself. But that's what fans did. And going to Upton Park made me a real West Ham fan. So no one could say, oh, you've never been to the stadium. Because I would have said, yeah, I have. And I went and I loved it. And you can diss me for supporting West Ham, but that's my club. I loved it. I love the fans. I love that stadium. I love this team, even though it doesn't always do well. I'm really happy that I went. So, to see that it's no longer there is sad. It's very sad. The club's moved to its Olympic Park Stadium. We've seen a lot of bad times there and things that we'd rather forget. I'm not going to go into detail about that in this video though. But the Boleyn Ground was special for players and fans. As soon as you stepped out on the pitch there as a player, you were loved. You were loved. When I put on my first West Ham shirt, I felt the love of the club. I felt like a part of that club. It was ingrained in me. Like I bled claret and blue. And I'm a Yorkshireman. That was a special, special day. Seeing West Ham play at the Boleyn Ground is something that I will never, ever forget. Long live the Boleyn, and long live its memories. What a lovely stadium. I thought I'd share my memories of the Boleyn Ground because it's nice to say that I've gone to that stadium. And now that it's no longer there, like I say, it's the reason why I wanted to share this. And it's better for me to explain it on a video than it is to write it on my website, because in the video I can articulate myself, maybe express myself a bit better. Thank you very much for watching this video, and thank you to the Boleyn Ground for giving me one of the best memories of my childhood. Thanks for watching this. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you all soon.